Welcome, we're once again here at the Stephanie Fury Theater. We are joined today by Charlotte Hendricks. I'm Duke Pierce.
And I'm Oliver Boone.
And let's go to the movies.
Every star I have ever seen. I just had to go over as soon as my name came up.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
What's the problem?
The car came just as my
I don't
name
care.
came up. Yeah.
Hey, Charlotte, so you're the Secretary of Alumni Relations at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, right?
Terrible.
But it's okay. You don't.
She refused to give me a bio, so I'm making fun of her.
Well,
anyways,
he asked me,
anyways,
literally.
So,
right
but that's
as
an
I sat
important
down.
part because our film we're doing.
Stop cutting
today,
off our guest.
A film we're doing today is directed by an Academy alum.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the reasons I went to the Academy.
Mm-hmm.
The movie is A River Runs Through It, and of course the director is Robert Redford. And this, they've been giving me crap about it all day. Last night was the first time you've both seen this movie, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I grew up with this movie. It's one of my dad's favorite movies. And it's very much a good kind of coming-of-age story and sort of coming-of-age story.
It definitely is.
Yeah,
I love it.
and
Yeah.
I watched it. I liked watching it growing up. So let's start with your initial thoughts, Oliver. Your very initial thoughts, because you just watched it.
Yeah. So watching this movie, I felt like this is very much like classic America. I'm trying to remember where exactly is it set?
Montana.
Montana, yeah. Just it's the nature is just so beautiful. Like I think I'll always remember this movie as the two boys fishing with the sun
you're absolutely supposed
reflecting on the river. Yeah, it's definitely like a coming of age, and I love it when it's like a film about two brothers that are very different and they go on different paths in life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because I've got an older brother myself, so I can relate to it in some aspects.
Right. And this, watching it, and I hadn't seen it for some years, and one of the reasons I relate to it so much is the same, is that I have 3 brothers, and then I realized that Charlotte was our guest, and I had no idea if she had brothers, and you're obviously not a boy. And I was like, maybe she won't be able to relate to this and speak to it on the level that Oliver and I have. But then I realized, well, but if you already have Oliver and I, then you want a difference of opinion, so that's why you're here.
This movie's perfect for you.
Exactly.
It is true. It's funny that you guys start with this because I was going to bring that up. It's like I don't have any siblings, and so this family is so not like my family because the father.
Well, you're also European too.
The father is a very important figure in this family. My father, I haven't seen in years. So for me, my mother is the important person in my family. So it's very different from what my family life was like. But that made it so much more interesting for me because the dynamic in the family is so mesmerizing to me. I like.
Well, there is a sort of mystery to it. It's very real. It's very relatable. Like, especially if you have siblings, which that seemed like a dig towards you, but it wasn't. But there is a sense of mystery to their characters, especially after he returns from college.
Yeah, absolutely. And I up until now, I still don't fully understand why. Is it Paul? Paul's the youngest. Why Paul is so rebellious, because we always, whenever there's a rebel in the family, it's always because they're either trying to rebel against the father or they're being there's always a reason why they want to step out of line. And up until now, because he has a pretty good bond with his father, I didn't really, and he has a good bond with his brother. I mean that's how I picture brother rivalry is there, but they didn't hate each other or competed or
I think it comes from very much at the beginning of the film when they're kids and they're having those fights.
Right, and he says that he always had to prove that he was the toughest.
Right.
And I think to some level you're kind of born with a rebel mentality.
Right.
And I think most people have some sort of rebel mentality, especially from their parents. But yeah, he does seem to have a good relationship with everyone.
Yeah,
that makes it a little bit more interesting. And and he's also the younger brother. So and he's the only younger brother. So that's something different. As I relate a little bit more with the older brother, but there's parts of it that I relate to the younger brother. But I have 2 younger brothers, so I'm in the middle.
Right.
So I never really had this, or when I can remember, had the spotlight like they did.
Yeah.
And so it does, and you kind of see that through the movies, that his charm works on everyone. Like when I almost think Jess is more in love with him.
Yeah.
Than,
I thought it was gonna happen. I thought she was gonna cheat on Norman with Paul. I thought this is gonna happen, and then it never happened. So I was a little surprised. But yeah, and I think probably what might have played into it is that Norman was the golden boy of the family. You know, the father was always busy with him and was like, you know. So I feel like maybe he just lived in the shadow of the brother, and maybe that's why he rebelled. No, but it is interesting because at the end I did kind of was left with that question. It's like, it's still interesting why he took that path so much, because I mean it leads to, you know, I don't know if we can spoil it, but like
we're spoiling
but
it.
like it leads to his death, basically, his rebel and his dangerous life. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely like a free spirit. Like
Absolutely.
He wants to, you know, he kind of wants to do his own thing.
That goes in with the fishing. You know, until you're truly free, you can't be really good at the fishing. And that's he and one of my favorite moments of the film is that when Norman's looking on to Paul, and he's like, and then is when I saw him develop his
after he
own
comes
rhythm.
Back after all those years.
He's got his own rhythm to it, and that's the ultimate symbolism of his detachment from his father. It's the rebelling against the establishment. But to your point, what's also intriguing is that he doesn't want to leave Montana.
Honestly, when he starts going crazy, like fly fishing, and he's like in the rapids, I thought like, okay, like is Paul gonna die here?
There was a little bit of there's a couple times where you're like, oh, this is where he's gonna, especially if you've seen it before. Like I hadn't seen it in years, and I was like, I know he dies at the end. I can't remember when. At first I thought it was like, oh, he gets it once Norman leaves.
Right.
Then it's like, oh no, okay. So it's a little bit of like a
very shocking to me. I did not see it coming.
When he died?
I did. I knew something had to happen.
Well,
with him,
these particular stories, there's usually only one way they will end.
I can tell when you're pausing for the background that you're just being dramatic.
Yes. But usually there's one way there's going to end, because there's no way out for these characters. They've suffocated themselves so much that it's going to blow eventually somehow.
In some ways, like if I wanted my own Hollywood ending, it would be like copy the same shot of them as kids fly fishing with the sun, and then them as like as older brothers in the exact same shot.
Right.
Be nice. But I don't know. For me, I was just like I don't know why I did not see it going that way. I did not see it getting quite as dark as it does.
Well, it's very and I want to talk about the direction a little bit.
Sure.
One of the reasons I feel so connected, of course I don't know him, so he could be the biggest jerk in the world. But one of the reasons I love Robert Redford so much, and why I feel so connected to him a lot of times, is he's a thinker. Yeah. And everything is methodical, and everything's kind of, he has an ear for the quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he ponders in everything he does. And so many shots, because of course there is a narration in this film, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that's not what I'm talking about when I say this. There's so many shots where you hear his voice. You're watching Redford talk to you, which is really cool and really something I don't see a lot with even some of my other favorite directors. Yeah. But
no, it's true, and I love movies that don't have a lot of dialogue, that actually show you because that's what movies about. You know, it's about the picture. And I think Robert indeed is very. I had never been to Montana, but now I have a vision of what Montana looks like. You know, and I have an idea of the world that they grew up in, because he was so visual, and because he had so many moments where he just allowed the picture to talk for itself without voice and then the narration was beautiful because you you heard what he said so loud and clear because of the fact that it was just him talking on a picture.
I think we spoke about this in a previous episode about. Well, I don't. You've never seen Stand By Me, have you?
I have. I'm the one who brought it up.
Oh, you are. Oh, great. Yeah. This honestly, it kind of. When you look at the camera, like, oh, this guy.
This schmo.
Yeah. But the narration reminded me of Stand By Me.
Yeah.
In more ways than one. About it's an older man recounting his his coming of age.
It's a person living in their memories.
Absolutely.
And what it has is that feeling of, and one of the most poignant themes that for me of any film when they do this is that everyone else who might remember this is gone. But so all this person has is the memories of these people. And at the end, you just see the old guy. And I love the shot where he's kind of teary-eyed because it's everyone else is faded into the...
I was personally, I was a little disappointed not to see Robert Redford be the older Norman, because he's narrating throughout the entire film. I would have loved if it was him at the end as well.
Well, I would have too, but he doesn't look like. He actually looks more like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
Excuse me, Brad Pitt looks like Robert Redford. But yeah, I mean, Redford knows nature. I mean, he's a huge conservationist, and he knows how to shoot it.
Yeah,
he
does.
He just simply does. And one of the cool things is that when the brothers are little, and that whole kind of montage of them playing out in the wilderness, it's so sweeping and it's so massive, and it creates this big world for such small people. But it almost seems as the movie goes on, everything gets smaller and smaller. The town gets smaller, and they seem to grow out of the town.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also less different locations as well. But that may be something that
It definitely feels like a time capsule of a setting and a time that I've never been familiar with, and I really appreciated it. It kind of reminded me of almost like a male Little Women in a sense of just like America, like Middle America from back in the past. When is this set? Is it like 1910s, 1920s?
When the movie spans from like the
20s to 30s, I think.
12 to the 1930s.
Well, because you have, I mean,
like that,
you have the love interest. Is it Jesse?
For Norman?
Yeah. As a flapper, which is really cool to see on film. I haven't seen many movies with flappers, to be honest. But I love that whole exchange at the party.
With the 4th of July dance.
Yeah.
It's so, and I love meetings of couples for the first time when they're done really well. I don't really
cutes.
Yeah, I don't really like it when I'm. So I watched Meet the Fockers the other day.
Classic.
And it's funny. I hate watching it though because it's like it churns my stomach.
And I'm like Dustin Hoffman and Robert.
No, that's not Meet the Fockers. Excuse me. I like Meet the Fockers better than I like Meet the Parents.
Yeah, okay.
Because Meet the Parents is hard for me to watch because it just churns your stomach. But I like this instant because it's just they're nervous and it's just kind of cute and it's kind of
real,
fun to watch.
It's real.
It's real and.
It also because once she went off to watch the fireworks, I thought, oh, okay, so this is it. Like he just isn't gonna have to. And then when they do end up getting back, it's cute because you're kind of left with, okay, this could be this could go nowhere or this could go somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, I believe it because it's sort of it's imperfect. It's not just kind of like immediately fall in love.
It's not love at first sight.
No,
it's definitely not that.
And you never really it's kind of a mystery about how he feels for her and how she feels for him.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's like it almost feels more of like an arranged relationship than a I'm at
this point in my life, so I have to find a partner.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they get married and probably have bunches of kids. So who knows?
You hope so.
Or not.
I didn't see him. Is he fishing on his own for a reason? Maybe he dies alone.
Well, he does, because the narration said that she died.
Oh, yeah, she dies.
Yeah,
but they don't mention any kids, do they? In the narration.
It doesn't.
So that's an open question.
Doesn't.
That's an open.
Yeah, of course it does.
An open end.
I can see what you mean by the whole Stand By Me thing now. You know, like how everyone is, like how it really is just a time capsule of all those people that are no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he's just living with his memories.
Yeah.
And what's in here.
The book is written by Norman.
Yeah,
himself, right?
It's an autobiographical
right.
book, and
so yeah, that makes
Redford
sense.
had to it was years. He hounded the guy for the rights, and I think he visited him like 3 times. Okay. And what was sad, like in person, and what was sad was that he died before the film. I think
so he never saw
I don't know
it.
if it wasn't complete yet, or if it just wasn't released yet.
Right.
But yeah, he died before he could see it.
From what I can tell and see, I think the film definitely does justice to the book.
Right. And that was why he wouldn't give up the rights.
Right.
To just anybody, and Redford just finally convinced him. And Redford would probably be the only person who could convince him to make something like this. But he didn't want it to be butchered.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like authors from older generations are much more strict about giving away the rights to their...
Well, this one was also a personal story.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's a lot of it's based on truth, and his brother did die, and it was...
That, and it's like it's a story that's not... It's a story that could easily be misinterpreted. I feel like if you read it, you and I could read the book, but you could have a completely different vision of it than I do. And so I think that's probably one of the reasons as well why he wasn't eager to just give it to anyone, because there is religion involved in it, which is already an aspect of, or a topic in the world that is what it is. So it's all of these different topics that can be so different depending on who reads it.
What do you think that's the significance is at the beginning with when they're on the boat and they take that risk to go through the rapids as the Maclean brothers?
I think it just establishes their camaraderie in a way.
And I think it also establishes where Paul is always going to be that person that's going to try and color outside of the lines.
Yeah, and he's the one that brings them into these situations and pushes.
He also kind of wants that legend of the Maclean brothers,
Right.
Like he never wants to walk away from a challenge.
For sure, that actually is a very that I remember from the scenes that I love so much from him is like that scene where he fights for his girlfriend to come in, though it's one of those things where he wants to be that person that's so different to be remembered,
right? And then when I was going to ask, do you think he does that because it's the right thing to do, or because it's stirring the pot?
I think
he's rebel.
I think it's the rebel. I think he just wants to
I think
push
I think it's mixed. I think it's layered. I think he definitely does care about his girlfriend as well. I don't know if it's a girlfriend.
I think it definitely comes from Norman, because we see a little bit from him in that scene, but a little bit later on of his acceptance. And I think definitely from Norman, he is more of a progressive-minded. But with him, I always I think that it's a little bit more of a society says I can't be this way, but I'm going to be this way.
I think so too.
It's interesting, even though Paul is the rebel, that he still has a pretty decent job, at a newspaper agency. Usually the rebel's kind of like a complete downbeat drug. I mean, he does gamble, of course, but
I mean, we don't know how good he actually is at his job, because all we see
he interviews the president. So.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true. Okay, fair.
And he's well known in town.
Mm-hmm.
But that was before he actually got the job, right? That was when he was an intern, for lack of a better word.
And I'm not a huge fan of Brad Pitt. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Brad Pitt. I think he can be a good actor, but I really enjoy him in this role. I think he does a really good job. I just felt like at some point in his career he fell into the pitfall.
Why are you saying it? You're delivering it like that, even though it wasn't in the previous take. So now it just looks really weird.
I know.
Oh, you're just doing it because now it's your joke. That's great.
But he just kind of would fall into this pitfall of being a blockbuster star, and because Troy is just awful. He's just
He was
bad in the
great,
movie.
but he in the late 90s, like with Fight Club and 12 Monkeys, I thought that was like Brad Pitt at his absolute best.
It's almost like when he decides to care, he's good. Because like
That's I feel like that's pretty that's a pretty
I don't
gross
know.
accusation. That's
No, I
pretty-
do understand what he's saying, though. And I feel like a lot of his younger parts are therefore better because he was still. I mean, I read a couple of articles about this project and how he felt about it, and he said, I was so inexperienced. I felt like I could have done better in the part. So it's almost as if his humbleness is what
But I mean, throughout his career, he's done good things and then bad things. Like Burn After Reading, he's just so funny in that. And then
Not enough people know about Burn After Reading. It's a really good Coen Brothers movie.
yeah,
He's great in that.
It's one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies.
He's so funny.
Hilarious.
He's very funny.
We'll have to do an episode on that.
Yeah.
But also, and I thought he was good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. No,
I haven't seen that one.
You haven't?
I still
Wow.
haven't seen it.
I don't think he deserved the Oscar,
It's everywhere.
but he was good, and the movie was decent. And I'm not a huge Tarantino fan, but I actually enjoyed that movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to watch
He's
it.
too
I'll have to watch it.
gory for me. But yeah, I really enjoyed Brad Pitt in this film, and the other brother who didn't achieve the stardom that Brad Pitt did eventually was also really good. I also enjoyed him.
I knew
His name
him.
Tom Skerritt?
Craig.
No, that's the father.
That's
Tom
the
Skerritt.
father. Okay.
Craig Sheffer or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
I know him
Craig
from One Tree
Sheffer.
Hill.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
where I
There you go.
recognize him
I mean, he
from.
worked all of his life.
Yeah,
but
and he's a good
yeah.
actor. I really enjoyed his performance.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more of him, to be honest. I didn't
Yeah.
even know. I had not until you mentioned we were doing an episode on this. I've never heard of this film before. Honestly,
Me either.
completely.
No.
completely
It's kind of one of
slipped my-
those now considered kind of one of those little lost gems of the 90s.
Sure.
Which
It,
90s
it
has
did
a
win
lot
an
of-
Oscar, though, didn't it?
It won
was-
cinematography.
It was it was nominated for 11,
It was-
I believe.
11.
11.
Yeah, it was nominated for a lot.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah, it had a lot of Oscar nominee, best writing, screenplay, best music. Had a Golden Globe nominee for Robert Redford, and then one for cinematography. But the music is really good.
Yeah.
The music is really something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I like Mark Isham, who, I mean, he was the composer, and he did 42, Crash, Men of Honor, Night Falls on Manhattan, Quiz Show, Mice and Men. He did this movie I really like called The Cooler. Have you seen that movie?
Is that with Vin Diesel? No, Spoiler Room.
That's Spoiler Room. But The Cooler was it was the only Oscar nomination for Alec Baldwin. And it also
Interesting.
has William H. Macy. It
Okay.
also has somebody we know. It has one of our acting teachers in it.
Really?
Tim Lanfield's in it.
I was about to say Tim Lanfield because
Yeah.
I feel like that would be the only person that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit off topic. But it's a really good movie. You should check it out.
I can see why it won Best Cinematography, though.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful movie, but the movie's also about nature. Like
It
it's
is.
it's
I mean, it starts off with that. It starts off with how fishing in the water is. I mean, it's the whole metaphor of the movie.
right. But
Yeah.
what does nature entail? Human beings. We sometimes forget. Human beings are part of nature,
Mm-hmm.
and the relationships that that entangles human beings are natural in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this movie is a reflection of that.
Absolutely.
And how we become one with nature, and the ultimate peace is that.
It always turns back to nature. Wherever it goes, it always comes back to that.
Right.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, anything to say on
Yeah,
that?
he doesn't really seem to agree on that, does he?
Nah, I'm just trying. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, the father is he's a clergyman, right?
Mhm.
He's a priest. Like, there's definitely, it felt something that's almost a little connecting nature to possibly like faith and religion.
I mean, God shaped the earth in how many days is it? 7?
6,
7.
7.
6,
Five.
7. He took a rest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good Lord, you heathens!
I don't take a rest on Sunday, so that's why.
Well, all right, move out of the way, God. Here comes
That's
Charlotte.
not how that's not what
That's
I meant.
exactly what you
Charlotte
meant.
would have
That's
taken a break.
not what I meant at all.
God, if Charlotte would have been in God's position, imagine where the world would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started this. Let's
Good Lord.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, I want to know, like, I'm trying to think what was the point of, like, what was the point of their father in the film, like, what, like, I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I enjoyed it, but I'm just trying to think, how does he what was his involvement in the children's lives? Like, how did he shape them? I mean, he gave them a tough upbringing growing up. I wonder, is it possibly like he couldn't really control them in the end? Like, they're always going to go their separate paths, no matter what?
Well, yeah, and I think that's part of it, but I also think part of it is to give something to rebel against. But he's also there to teach the principles.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
the
I
lessons
was gonna say.
that are what the movie are about.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of the calm water
Okay.
of the movie. He's like the baseline that everything kind of rests on,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he puts the fundamentals there for the sons to build on. And I think the metaphor of the fishing is what his purpose is. He taught them the one thing that makes them come together every time, because they come together to fish every time, almost. You know what I mean? So I think he gave them that bond that they always relied on in the end.
Love that. I love their like social commentary on like the girlfriend's brother that comes to visit from California.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just hilarious just how like a fish out of water he is, pun intended. But like the fact that, you know, like Brad Pitt's character Paul like knows immediately, like, oh, he's bringing bait tomorrow. It's gonna be in this this red coffee tin.
Right, and that's kind of what this film doesn't have one clear like goal or one clear objective. It's more like a collection of vignettes of these people's lives and how it's changing them and how it changes, the town changes, how the world is changing, and
how the path that you walk on changes depending on the choices that you make.
But they can always come back to the fly fishing.
Yeah.
Right. It's definitely a time capsule, like what you said.
Yeah.
And I think the movie's more of a feeling than really anything.
It's like I mean, that's what I love about narration as well. You know, like in some way I say I love it now.
Right.
But I actually do really appreciate it in this film, and I think part of what would make me like it more would be if it was Robert Redford at the end speaking, you know. But like it's basically, to me, I see it as like this is all like a collection of memories from Norman's character as he's fishing, you know, and that's why it ends where it does.
Right, and absolutely, and with the narration, it kind of feels more like a novel. It feels like you're watching a novel.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think that's the point. Is this lackadaisical feel to it, and that you're kind of reading this movie.
The film's not in a rush. Not in a rush.
No, it is a long movie. I was surprised at how long it was. I was like, it's a 2-hour movie. It didn't feel like 2 hours when I watched it, but
it's the pacing of it's very well done, because it is kind of, you know, drawn out. Drawn out's the wrong word, but it does take its time.
Yes.
It takes its time.
It does.
But it doesn't overstay.
Well, it takes its time on the right places, not the wrong. Because sometimes some scenes tend to be longer in certain movies where like this scene doesn't have to be that long. You can tell this scene in a shorter version and spend more time on another scene. Right. And I think this movie does it very well. I think this movie has the right long scenes where it needs to be.
I think so.
Like, yeah.
It spends time on the relationships too.
Yeah. I mean, I love any movie that shows like all the different members of the family and all their different quirks. That's probably my favorite part, when they're in like the family house, in the family house of like Jesse, and we're seeing like the kind of, there's that one of my favorite parts is just this like dorky kid. He's just like, everyone's kind of like shush, what are you talking about? Right. Like just constantly dismissing him. I wish I should have written down a quote of some of the things that he was saying, because he was just hilarious to me.
Right. I think the most interesting scene, because we brought up the rafting.
Yeah.
What why do you think they fight?
I don't know, but I loved that scene. I was so surprised when it happened. I was like, "Oh, this is so out of the, up until now story." But I think Norman's patience was just tested. I think he's always accepted his brother for the way he is, and then now it's like, because he has this pressure of his father wanting him to be a certain way, and then his brother constantly pulling his sleeve, kind of like, oh, I want to have attention too, that kind of thing. And I think it just was a bomb waiting to explode from his side. And I think
and Paul just keeps going.
He keeps poking the bear, and the bear bit back.
Parks back.
And why it's and maybe you can answer this a little bit more because you have siblings. Or a little bit better.
Yeah, you explain it to me.
The expert over here.
But this is an interesting question because why is that the only fight they ever have? Like when you have
it's a
brothers,
good question. No, it is a good question.
Well, I
can't even count on my hands how many fights we got into.
That's probably it's just kind of like how I think how siblings can be. They can fight for all sorts of reasons, and a lot of it's. I think a lot of it's just like inner frustration that's just been like looking for some way of being released. I mean, we see it at the beginning, when they're fighting as kids. It's just kind of like I think it's a release for them, and I also think Norman, like you said, is kind of like he's just fed up.
He's decomposed, and now.
Well, it's definitely a testament to the relationship that they only had one physical fight.
Yeah,
I feel like it's also been them against the world, because in the beginning they also watch the street fights happening, so I feel like they've kind of like, you and I are not going to do that, it's us against them, if it ever, then I'll have your back, what I mean. So I feel like, again, I don't have siblings, but like I can imagine that's what it would be also, like. It's like,
what Norman's been away for a long time as well. I think it's like 4 or 6 years.
Well, the fight was before he left.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyways, one of my favorite scenes is when he is leaving to go to college, and Paul is running after him on the.
Oh, that's such a cute scene.
On the train depot, and it's just like he doesn't have anything to say, but it's like he can't let him go.
How he does with his arms, like he just goes, like, okay, go now, go ahead. Yeah,
it is very.
It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah, it's very nice. What's your favorite scene? And line. What's your favorite scene and line?
I need to start writing down the lines. It's hard to say.
Your favorite scene and line?
A favorite scene, I have a lot of them, but for one reason or another, the one where Paul refuses to eat his oatmeal stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because for me that's the first time where I was like, oh, okay, he's not just gonna do what his father tells him to do. He's gonna forge his own path, And I think it's gorgeous because after a while, when they go back and pray, you kind of see Norman, keeping an eye. It just stuck with me for some reason. And then my favorite line, funny enough, I can't remember it, but I remember. I remember the last line hitting me. The last line of the narration when he's talking about the water.
I am haunted by waters.
That, because they said it in the beginning as well, I think. And it just, I remember when I heard it, I was like, oh, I need to go back, and I listened to the last part again of the narration, and it stuck, like it just, it hit me again.
Right.
So yeah, that's probably my favorite line.
That might be my favorite line. I think my favorite scene is. I think honestly, it's probably at the 4th of July party, because I thought that was just such an interesting setting. I kind of wanted, it's the sort of thing, movies transport you. It's like I want to be in that moment right there. I want to be at that party.
Right, you want to be
yeah. I also love just when the brothers find the girlfriend's brother naked with a girl.
Sunburned.
I didn't understand it was sunburned. Is that I guess that's a thing in maybe that's a thing in Montana. You know,
What?
like just like being out in the sun, like falling asleep in the sun. That's just such a strange thing to me.
Well, they were also drunk as hell.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that was like,
very
what
funny.
happened?
Yeah.
Another scene that's really cute and says a lot about their relationship was when they're still younger and they lie in the grass and they're talking about what they want to be
Yeah.
when they grow older, and like when Paul says a boxer, I guess, and I don't remember the other job. What was the other job that
They say minister and laugh.
minister?
I think
Yes,
is
that was, and
really
I
telling,
remember
yeah.
that was also a cute scene where I was like, oh, okay, he's
Well, also, and the phone call he makes to Jess after the party.
Yeah.
oh
So-
yeah,
And it's the prime example of what I mean by Redford knows about quiet.
yeah,
Because it's so, and the actor does a brilliant job with it.
yeah,
And it's just, you don't hear her voice, but you do hear it.
yeah,
You don't actually hear it, but you do hear it. You imagine it in your head.
absolutely, and the pauses are
Just
the
the
right
right amount,
time,
yeah.
just the right time.
Mhm.
You know how they say in like a Woody Allen film, he often has kind of like Manhattan or like his like locations as like characters themselves.
Right.
I kind of see that the same with kind of with Robert Redford's movie here. You know, like the river
Mhm.
itself is almost a
Yeah.
character.
Right. And it's hard to pick one favorite scene because there's so many poignant scenes that I love, and I probably love the ending just the best because it really strikes the right chord and right note, and it's so hard to talk about the screenplay for this one. I feel because it's just so.
Have you read the book as well?
I have not. I want to,
Yeah.
but there's so much just you have to decide for yourself what's happening and what it means and
Yeah.
how it impacts you, because it's kind of open-ended in a way for each person to.
I love that as well.
Right.
I think every film could take a note with that.
Mhm.
Like it's because that's something that's beautiful about like books, is you as the reader have to do so much work for
Right.
yourself.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a lot of films often that come from books leave no room for that, and this
Right.
movie definitely does that, where they allow you to create part of it, part of the world and part of the story.
Right.
I think it's great that Robert Redford was the director for this because he pursued it for a number of years.
Yeah.
And he really I think he really understood the material he was working with.
Right. Absolutely.
He had a purpose for it as well. Like, you know, if you run after it for so long.
Where is he from, Robert Redford? Is it Kentucky?
No, I think he's from
I think
California.
He's from California? Oh my god.
No, I
Yeah.
think he.
I think so.
Well,
He may I think
no,
I don't remember.
he's not from California. He's from middle somewhere. Oh wait, maybe you're right. He was born. Well, no, he moved to Texas when he was a kid. He's from California, but he moved to Texas when
Okay.
he was a kid.
I guess we're both right then.
So, which informs his love of nature.
It's like you definitely I think you said earlier with like Brad Pitt and Robert Redford, like Robert Redford would look like an older Brad Pitt. I could see him playing that character.
Other way around, but yes,
What do you mean?
it's Brad Pitt looks like Robert.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Rob.
But with that said, so what does fly fishing mean to you?
That's a funny question to ask.
Yeah. What does fly fishing mean? I don't know.
When you're watching this movie and it's symbolic. And,
I think
what is it?
I think it's from watching this movie, it's beautiful because they kind of combined art with this hobby, job, whatever you'd like to call it. And it's beautiful because I love the slow motion shots of it as
That's when
well.
you hear Redford. That's when I heard him.
Yes, because it's beautiful because it is a form of art, and especially when he teaches them to count like to 4, is
Right.
it?
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of art with being close to nature, I guess, and connecting to nature,
And being at peace. with
finding
yourself.
inner peace as well.
Right.
That's exactly what I think it's. I when I think of fly fishing in this film, I think of like peace and almost church, in a way.
Yeah.
I think there's something very spiritual about it. Like,
Right.
I think it's an escape for them.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's just escape from like everything else going on in their lives and in the world.
And teaching them
Right.
patience as well, because
Yeah.
you have to wait. It's just waiting until they
Right,
bite.
and when he
you know?
gets angry,
Yeah.
because he sees that Norman is catching fish towards the
Yeah.
end, he can't catch anything because he's
Yeah.
angry. He's not at peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have two favorite lines because I didn't say them earlier, but I love the one at the end. Not the haunted water ones, although that one's really good. Eventually, all things merge into one, and a river runs through it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a really good line. And another one of my favorite lines, my dad quotes this all the time, and I do too. Anytime, you've probably heard me say it before, because anytime somebody says Chicago, I say it. It's chicken in the car won't go. That's how you spell Chicago.
Oh,
Chicago.
that's such
When
a
the
good
little
line.
when the little
yes.
mailman says that, it's just
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
random. But all right, so let's go on to our trivia portion.
Oh, if we must.
Yeah, I think you're all gonna lose.
Who?
Okay, you're all gonna lose.
Oh, we're
Well,
both going. Oh, he's made it that hard.
Because the house always wins.
House always wins.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, so this was just easy right off the gate. If you don't get it, I'm gonna be very disappointed in all of you.
Wow.
Who plays the young Norman?
Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because that was like
I recognize his
immediately.
face.
I was
Yeah.
shocked. Yeah.
I recognize his face, but up until the last moment, I was like, I know that face. What's the name?
Yeah, it
What's
says
the name?
it says he's got an introducing credit to it.
Oh wow,
Like,
yeah.
mm.
I was shocked. I was like, was he even alive at this point?
Yeah. True or false? Brad Pitt taught himself how to fly fish on top of a building in L.A.
True.
False.
No, it's true.
Really?
Yep. True or false? Paul actually died in Montana. The real Paul actually died in Montana.
False.
You gotta be quicker.
True.
You gotta be quicker. Because it's false.
Was it? Well,
He,
chances
he
are true.
actually did.
It's not set in Montana, is it? Actually, I think it was filmed in Montana, but I don't
No,
think
it is. It is set in Montana.
Oh, it is set.
It
Okay.
is set in Montana.
I'm
He-
very
no,
lucky.
he actually did. The real Paul went to Chicago,
Oh.
and he went with his
See,
brother.
I knew
And
it
he
was.
was a
gonna be bad
newspaper
at
man in
this.
Chicago, but got whacked in Chicago.
Oh.
Oh, I feel very.
Okay, so this one's kind of difficult if you didn't read about it. What very famous American composer composed a score for the film that Redford rejected? Very famous. You may not know his name, but I swear to God, if you look him up on IMDb, you'll know.
Yeah, and I'm also horrible at names.
I
to
don't
begin
know.
With,
I don't even know
so
composer. What, John Williams? I don't know. I don't know. I
That's
don't
not
know.
a bad guess.
do you
but
have
no.
Do you have a movie that he composed?
His initials are EB.
E.B.
Yeah.
Ernie Beaver. I don't know. I don't know.
What?
I don't know my
What?
composers, buddy.
Yeah. He did. Well, okay. His most famous one is The Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
He did To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah, this doesn't help me at all.
Let's see.
No.
Go away. Let's see. Composer. He did Far From Heaven.
Ernest Bloomfield.
You're just.
Well,
awful.
no,
He did The
if he's
Rainmaker.
American, doesn't sound American. Like he keeps emphasizing American, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Actually, he might not be from America, but The Three Amigos.
Yeah,
I don't
No.
think either of us.
Trading Places.
That's great. Who is he?
Stripes. Just so many movies. Elmer Bernstein. Look him up.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I
I'm-
don't
I
know
feel,
that
I don't know
name.
if I kept going through random names.
Yeah,
maybe-
you would have gotten there.
But you know the famous Magnificent Seven theme?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Very cool.
He's responsible for that. What religion is the family?
Catholic.
No, you're smart. Bernstein, yes, probably.
Presbyterian.
Yep.
Oh.
Charlotte, he's wiping the floor with you. Good lord.
I told
Good
you I was gonna be bad
Lord.
at this.
What
I suck
famous
at
young
this.
actor auditioned for the role of Paul?
Okay, I think I know this, and I hope it's true. Is it River Phoenix?
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been incredible.
Good lord, Charlotte. That's my last question. You lost.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here's my audience question though.
Not a bonus question, no. A bonus
No.
where.
You will win if you can answer this question after the cameras stop.
So
rolling.
okay.
Okay,
so
good.
on camera, I will keep losing.
But on camera,
You're a
Wonderful.
lost. 5-0. That's
Wonderful.
our worst performance by a guest. You will get your plaque for that. Audience question, real quick. What does Norman say his father says about Methodists? So on the train platform, when he meets Jess's family, he says something that he says what his father calls Methodists. Answer in the comments.
That's what she said.
What?
He says that.
No.
Oh,
Anyways, any final thoughts on
we'll cut him out. It's fine.
What's your rating? Real quick, what's your rating out of 10?
Okay, we're doing ratings now.
We did in our first episode that we forgot to do them in all the other episodes. So I'm bringing it back, baby.
Okay. I'm gonna give a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10?
7 out of 10. I can give some reasoning as well.
Sure, you can while she's,
Yeah.
pondering it.
I'll give.
Okay, you know what?
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because I really enjoyed the story, but it definitely I wouldn't say it made as much of a connection. Maybe if I watched it when I was younger, it would make more of a connection of me.
Real quick, I want to ask you a question because you texted me last night that it was very American to you.
Yes.
Why is that?
I think probably the setting and also the time it was set in. It just feels like a very American story, like culturally.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's the same as watching like a Western, like a John Wayne film.
Right.
Like this feels like it's very different from like a culture that I would have grown up in.
Rating?
An
Or
8.
in relation to that?
An 8. I think, yeah. I really enjoyed watching the movie, and I love this style of movie as well. It's the first Robert Redford directing movie that I've ever seen. I've never seen any of his other ones, but now I want to. I want to go and watch his other films, and I really enjoyed it. I also started watching it without watching the trailer, so I went in completely blank.
It's so much better to not watch a trailer.
Right,
as
I
well.
agree.
Yeah, so no, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it a 9, just because I think the movie actually itself is probably an 8 or a 7, but just because of the connection I have to it,
of course,
and how much I enjoy it, and just the ending alone, how it ends, kind of boosts it up a little bit for me, and I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I
mean, for me, I can just whenever somebody's gonna mention this movie to me again, I'm just gonna think of that shot of the 2 kids with like the silver fishing line, like just gliding through the air with the sun coming off like the reflection of the river. That is just, to me, that's just perfect. That's
right.
Perfect encapsulation of the film.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here, Charlotte.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful guest. Great.
If you ever bring me back, easier questions, please. Or a movie that I've seen before.
Pretty easy. Like
or
I just like that
I've
was
seen
straight up
before.
like I just go into the trivia section of IMDb and boom, they're
You're still going against
right
me,
there.
so you better watch
No,
out.
if it's a movie I've seen before.
Oh my God, you've lost to everyone except Fabrizio, which is not hard to do. All right, bye. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Till the screen goes dark.